Oh, that sunset is unreal. My initial plan was to film this video outside, but as you can tell, the sun has gone down. Yeah, if I stay out here any longer, I will be eaten alive by the mosquitoes. I already have a mosquito bite on my knuckle. That sucker would not get off. Anyways, we're gonna go film in our car, per usual. Welcome back. I'm getting comfy back here. I'm in the back seat of my car. If you don't know me, my name is Eileen and I plan on competing in a bodybuilding show later this year. In this video today, I'm basically just gonna be taking you through my whole journey, how I got started in the gym, my powerlifting journey, when I gained weight, and now my bodybuilding journey. Kind of like everything that led up to where I'm at right now and where I'm heading, if that makes sense. Basically, I just wanted to share my story. I know that progress can be a little bit rocky. There's gonna be ups and downs, and there isn't just a clear path to the finish line, if that makes sense. I don't even know if there is a finish line or if this is just something that you keep on living and learning as you go. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's start from the beginning. I'll be inserting pictures in the screen somewhere here or somewhere here. I grew up Hispanic, and if you know, Hispanics eat. And if your mother makes you food, you better eat what's on that plate. I'd clean my plate. I left that thing clean. Unfortunately, sometimes that did lead to overeating. And especially like going to buffets, I'd eat as many plates as I could. And then going to restaurants, you know, I'd want that appetizer, that entree, and that dessert. So it was just like, I don't want to say it was hard because like thankfully I was blessed with the, you know, resources, if that makes sense. Like I'm thankful for my upbringing and the fact that my parents were able to provide me with so much food, but unfortunately that led me to being an overweight child. So that's something I really struggled with growing up because it was one of those things like I don't look like the other girls my age, I'm not as skinny as they are, things like that. So that was one of those like mental challenges, not looking like all the other girls, not being able to participate in the same sports. I remember, I think it was like middle school or high school where they made you run like a weekly mile. Everyone was running like a 10-minute, some kids were running like 7-minute miles. I wouldn't even try to run because I'm like, this is gonna be embarrassing. So I'd just walk the full mile and I'd probably be done in like 19, 20 minutes. It was kind of embarrassing. And the kids were like, why aren't you running? Why aren't you running? I can't run. My lungs will give out. I'll put a picture of me in middle school, but it was just like one of those things where I didn't have it in me. I felt very insecure to the point where I was like, I'm not even gonna try to run in front of these kids because they're so much fitter than I am. Yeah, every year I was putting on some weight. Going from like 6th grade to 7th grade to 8th grade, then to high school, I was putting on like 10 pounds like every year. And that added up. So by the time I was a freshman in high school, I'll put a picture somewhere up here, I weighed about 180 to 190 pounds. That was probably like one of the lowest points in my life. I was like, wow, I am big. I feel big. I don't like the way I look. I'm not speaking for anyone that currently weighs that. That is just how I felt in my own skin. Again, like everyone is on their own fitness journey. Everyone's doing their own thing. This is just my story. Freshman year, I was still 14. 14 was that point where I felt like I had hit rock bottom mentally, physically, you know what I mean. So my dad had offered to take me to the gym. So I was like, all right, let's go see what this is about. 14-year-old me, I still remember what I wore. I wore some black sweatpants and a black hoodie. Granted, I'm wearing sweatpants and a hoodie right now. That's just, you know, that's just like everyday wear. So I went to the gym for the first time. I was scared. I was very scared. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was trying to like stick to the walls. It just felt safer. The first couple times I went, I stuck to like purely arm machines. I remember like my arms always being so sore when I went to school, like carrying my books or my bag. I was like, damn, my arms are sore. But I'd only go to the gym to hit arms because I didn't want to use any of the other machines. I was going on and off around this time. I wasn't really into it. I think it took me a few months to get more used to the gym layout. Then I started using the lat pull down machine. And from there, like I just started to get more curious about like what the other machines did. I started doing like a machine row, some cables, like still sticking to arms. I was not training legs at this point. I don't know why I wasn't training legs. It just, that was like a whole nother level for me. So this is me going on and off from about 14 to about age 16. At around 16, so like 2 years after I had first stepped in the gym to build the confidence to step into the actual free weight room, if that makes sense. I never judge anyone when they say like they only want to stick to machines. I might judge them a little bit at first, but then I have to remember like you were that person once. You know what I mean? And that's when I started like, you know, using dumbbells, more like Smith machine squats, like more lunges. I was, you know, building a decent physique up at this point. Like I had lost a good amount of weight, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. I think I have a picture somewhere here when I was 16. At this point, I'm going a little bit more consistently. So during all this time that I'm still trying to get into the gym, my brother had already been going for like years. He was very into bodybuilding and listening to like podcasts and all the big guys that were competing at the time. So it was kind of like in the back of my head, like I'd hear it in the living room playing Mr. Olympia, the Arnold Classic, all the bodybuilding shows that were going on at the time. Eventually, I started to get more curious about bodybuilding. So, you know, I'd ask questions or I'd watch the YouTube videos with him. I'd listen to like big guys talk about their workouts, the way they eat, their steroids, and I was like, that's interesting. I started doing more research on bodybuilding style training, trying to like build my own program off of that, learning what a program even was. Then I found out nutrition is more important than training, and I'm like, what do you mean? So then I started watching Jeff Nippard videos, and I'll even link some of his videos down below because they're just really good things that I think everyone should know, like tracking your macros, building your diet, things like that you can do on your own without having to pay someone like a crazy amount of money. So this was all happening at around like 16, 17 now. I'm learning how to eat right. I'm learning how to train right. I started to see the progress. So I started to fall more in love with it, if that makes sense. I started to really enjoy the process. I started to like a little bit more the way I looked. I think I have some pictures of me at like 17, 18 here. So at around 18, I'm pretty serious about it. I'm putting on muscle. I'm getting strong. So at this point, I'm making pretty good progress. I don't know how I ended up building so much strength while doing this bodybuilding style training. I think I was just like very into it, pushing myself to failure. My chiropractor at the time was like, have you ever thought about powerlifting? And I was like, powerlifting? I ain't no powerlifter. I'm a bodybuilder. I like lifting heavy weights. So I kind of just like brushed it off. I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that. And he did research on competitions without even telling me. And I show up to my session one day and he goes, hey, is it okay if I go over these competitions with you? And he pulled one up that was only like an hour and a half away from me. At this point, I'm like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. So that is when my mini powerlifting season of life happened. It was probably like an 8-month long season. I was squatting, benching, deadlifting, SBD, as powerlifters know, but I never really followed like the recovery protocols. I was kind of doing my own thing with training. I got myself strong up to this point, like I can make myself stronger. My squat at the time was up to like 275. My bench was at like 205. Crazy, right? How close they were to each other. And my deadlift was around 325, I want to say. So I had decent numbers. So going into my powerlifting competition, I had already injured my hip. I was squatting heavy weight and I didn't warm up properly, so my hip was very achy. Fast forward now to day of competition. After I completed my squats, I felt like my hip was about to burst. My friend who's a trainer, luckily she came with me and was able to like help me stretch my hip out, but it was terrible. I did end up winning in my weight class. You know, after I got my medal, after comp was over, I had to lay off. And then shortly after that, I also injured my lower back. Another big bump in the road. I'm one of those people who doesn't like going to the doctors. The doctor said something about my lower back being injured. I had to get some spinal decompression. I had to stop squatting. Anything that would put too much pressure on my spine, I had to lay off for a couple months. So unfortunately, that was my short-lived powerlifting story. But I had fun with it. I do miss lifting heavy weight for like 3 reps or like going for 1 rep maxes. That was so fun to me. Then again, what are you gonna do? It was just one of those things where it wasn't meant to be, or maybe with some like proper coaching, I could have gone further in the sport, but I didn't have the same love for it as I do for bodybuilding. After that injury, I'm about 19 years old now, pushing 20. I got very upset because I couldn't lift the weight. You know, no one likes to be told you can't do something. And then it's even worse when you go and attempt the thing that you were told not to do and they end up being right of said reasons. Because I was injured, I couldn't squat heavy weight. I kind of fell into like a big lull. I went down like a mental slope. I put on a lot of weight. I just felt so defeated that I couldn't do what I used to do. In a sense, it felt like I gave up. I was eating whatever I wanted, eating out all the time, not tracking my protein, not hitting macros, just kind of threw all that stuff out the window for like 6 or 8 months. And then one day, I think I just weighed myself and I saw that I weighed like 179 pounds. And I was like, wow, like, am I really just gonna throw out all these years of progress? Like, am I just gonna go back to being my old self, or am I gonna do something about it? So, surprise! I decided to do something about it. So at this point, I am 20 years old. It is early 2024. I did an extreme cut and now I weigh 158. It was kind of like starting from a clean slate. Like, I still had some muscle. I realized it was time to lean out and put a little bit more muscle on. I started tracking my macros again, making sure I was hitting my protein goals, getting all my training in. I started doing daily cardio. I started to see a big difference in my physique, but eventually I hit a wall with the amount of weight I was losing, and I was like, damn, why is this happening? Like, I feel like I'm doing all the right things. I started brainstorming ideas. What can I do to get out of this place that I feel stuck in? And sometimes there's only so much you can do. I think at this point is when I realized I needed to hire a coach. Yeah, someone who is dedicated to fitness and knows more than I do. At the time, I felt like that was something I was ashamed of. Why am I gonna pay someone to do what I can do myself? But the reality was I couldn't do it myself, and it started to show. And that's when I found my current coach, Ariana Tate Fitness. I'll put her stuff down below if you want to go check her out. It is now winter of 2024. I hired my coach. We went through my diet at the time. We went through my training at the time. She told me what I needed to change. That brings us to today, right now. I am turning 21 next week. I am pretty excited for all the new beginnings. There's been a lot of ups and downs along the road, as you've heard, from being a heavy kid, transitioning to powerlifting, to injuring myself in powerlifting, to gaining weight, to doing an extreme cut, and to where we're at now, road to stage. It's been quite a journey, and don't get me wrong, like, sometimes I still feel like I don't look good or I could do better. Knowing that I can do better is what is pushing me to do better, if that makes sense. If you did not listen to a single thing this whole video, just remember this one thing. No one cares what you're doing. No one cares what machine you're using in the gym, what your training split is in the gym, whether you're recording yourself in the gym or not, whether or not you're heavy or you're small or you're big. No one cares. Most of the time, people are just so focused on themselves. If they do end up caring, it's probably because you have something that they don't. Just remember, everyone's on their own journey. Do good to others, even if they don't do good to you, because at the end of the day, that person is probably dealing with some issues that they don't like about themselves, so they just feel like reflecting them off and bothering you. But just ignore them. Do your own thing. That was it for today's YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed and you got something good out of it. I don't know how long I've been yapping for, but if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, consider subscribing, and comment something about your own fitness journey, something you've learned along the way, something you think others should know, or just something funny. I don't know. Anyways, till next time, amigos.